they going to know which defendant is up? Like, how are they going to know what witness to put up? Oh, good, okay.
Sí.
We're connected, Your Honor.
Thank you. Sir, good morning. Please tell me your name.
Francisco Cruz de Leo.
Francisco Cruz de Leo.
Sí,
This
yes.
is case
Sí.
number 20MM6585. You were arrested for battery, domestic violence. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Ma'am, good morning.
Okay.
Ma'am,
Yes,
ma'am, I'm over here. Ma'am,
Oh,
hello.
sorry.
Good- That's okay, good morning.
good morning.
Ma'am, do you need the interpreter to help you?
I don't think so. I speak English, but I don't know if
Digo, pero yo no hablo
Okay,
inglés.
I think I can handle it.
okay, all right. Could you tell me your name, please?
¿Te hablo español?
Hope Matthias
Francisco
Sanchez.
Cruz de Leo.
Ms. Sanchez, do you want to have contact with Mr. Cruz de Leon?
No anymore.
No, okay. Thank you very much, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Mr. Cruz de Leon, you are not to have any contact with Ms. Sanchez. You are to maintain a separate residence.
Okay.
You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. You may
Okay.
have a one-time return with the police to get your things if needed. And I'm going to place you on pretrial release at this time, sir. Do you have any questions about anything that I've ordered this morning?
Esto, por ejemplo, para yo recoger mis cosas, ¿cómo lo hago? Para recoger mis cosas, porque yo quiero recoger mis cosas.
How do I pick up my stuff?
You may call the police, the non-emergency number, and they will assist you with that, sir.
Oh,
Ma'am?
Yes, I don't want to come back to my house, please.
So he can come back one time with the police only to get his things, but
Okay,
it
thank you
must
so
be with the
much.
police. Do you understand?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, sir. We're finished.
okay.
I did. Oh, thank you, ma'am. We're all finished.
I can go.
Yes, you can, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is who? Jose?
Sir, good morning. Your name?
José. José Alberto Montilla Castro.
Jose Alberto Montilla Castro.
This is case number 20 CF 10914. You were arrested for possession of cocaine, possession of heroin, possession of drug paraphernalia, and possession of ammunition by a convicted felon. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender. You're not to possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription. You will be subject to random urinalysis testing through pretrial release. Bond on count 1 is $150, bond on count 2 $150, bond on count 3 $100, bond on count 4 is $1,500. And I'm not going to revoke your bond in the out on bond case. Thank you, sir.
We got, dots.
Good morning. Your name?
Garibaldi Grullón. Garibaldi Grullón.
Garibaldi Grullón.
Sir, you are here for an out-of-county warrant out of Osceola County in 20 CT 1984.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, what was that case number, please?
20 CT 1984. You failed to appear for arraignment on a driving while license suspended case. Is there any way that I could get a driving record for Mr. Gonzalez? Okay. Mr. Gonzalez, do we need to recall his case?
Yeah, just give me a
Okay, Mr. Gonzalez, I'm going to recall your case. I'm going to get a driving record to see if it's possible that we can resolve that case today.
Sí, gracias. Yo estaba tratando de arreglar mi licencia y no he podido por la cuestión esta. Y yo,
Well, I was trying to fix my license, but I haven't been able to because of, what's going on, the situation.
nunca recibí la carta de la cita por el correo. No, yo estoy esperando que me llegue una cita y nunca me llegó.
And I never got the notification in the mail regarding the court date. I was waiting for it, but I never received it.
Okay, so I'm going to have you sit tight for a moment, and I'm going to take a look at your driving record to see if we can resolve everything today.
Ok, gracias.
Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, sir. Your name?
Ángel Luis Capeles Santiago.
Ángel Luis Capeles Santiago.
This is 20 CF 10635. You were arrested for possession of cocaine and possession of drug paraphernalia. There's probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription. You'll be subject to random urinalysis testing through pretrial release. And I'm not going to take any action on any of the out on bond cases. Bond on count 1 is 1,000, bond on count 2 is 100. Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry, Honor, what were the bond amounts again? I apologize.
500, 100.
I don't got money.
Miss-
Affidavit. Who's he here for? We'll gotta find out.
Mr. Garibaldi, I have a copy of your driving record. I don't think this is the same person.
Oh my God.
This driving
Verdad.
record that I was given, this isn't him. This is for a Jose Overtold.
I think yo creo que es un mistake también, pero yo no he hecho nada. Yo estaba esperando la cita por correo, pero nunca me llegó. No sé qué es lo que está pasando.
I was waiting for the notification in the mail and I never got it, so I don't know what was going on.
Thank you. Ms. Bush, on the out on bond case, do you see any dates set? I didn't see anything
Your
in
Honor,
Odyssey.
I don't have a complete first appearance sheet, so I have nothing.
Okay.
I have nothing about his history, so.
I just didn't know if you, in your case management, just on the out on
Oh,
bond.
you're on the out on bond, I do have that information,
Oh,
I'm
that's what I was
sorry.
inquiring about.
Let me.
2019 MM6006. Have it as a threat to law enforcement.
20 MM 006. I have for a completely different individual. Let me try and look by his name. I have a 2019 MM. I was putting in 2020 because it was on the sheet here.
Understood.
And it was filed in,
Right, I just wondered if you had a court date, because there's nothing showing an Odyssey.
there was a motion to suppress that was scheduled for March of this year, and then it dropped off
Okay.
the docket.
I see that. Okay, so you don't have anything additional?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
And apparently, the file has gone back to a motion to suppress drawer in our office. So
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Garibaldi, you do not have a driving record.
Es que yo no manejo. Eso fue que yo estaba en un trabajo y me mandaron a comprar la comida y la policía me cayó atrás. Pero es que yo no manejo. Fue una emergencia.
Well, the thing is, I don't drive, and that was just one situation where at work they sent me to go get some food, and then the police was behind me. So, but that was just an emergency situation because
Okay.
I don't drive.
Right, so what's your address?
740 West de Jackson Street, eso en Orlando.
740 West Jackson Street in Orlando.
Okay. Do you know the zip code?
32808. Eso es downtown Orlando.
32808.
Yo he querido arreglar mi licencia primero antes de manejar y tengo el dinero, pero el DMV ha estado cerrado y ha sido un problema.
Well, I've been wanting to fix my license issue, but I have the money, but the DMV has been closed, so it's been difficult.
Okay, so listen to me carefully. I don't want to resolve your case today because I want you to talk to a lawyer about that case. And I understand that you are telling me you didn't get notice of the hearing, so I'm going to release you on your own recognizance as to the driving while license suspended case out of Osceola County.
Oh, I need to go to work.
We are going to update the court minutes with your current address. I want you to call your public defender on that case and let them know what your address is as well, so that way you know when you need to be in Osceola County for that case, sir. Do you understand?
Oh, gracias. Necesito eso, sí.
Yes, okay, thank you. I do need that thing.
Okay, and then when you call them, follow up on your out on bond case, which I'm not gonna take any action on today.
Oh, gracias.
7-4.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Morales, that's all I have today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Your Honor, if
You're-
you could, just in case, make an announcement.
They can't hear me,
Oh, that's right.
They can't hear it, oh, yeah.
or else they would.
Never mind.
So does anybody else need a Spanish interpreter out there?
Well, he's gone anyway, so we'll have to call back when it comes to the case.
I think one guy just shook his head.
All right, Linda Shamonte? Sure.
Any chance you can print Mr. Quinones' affidavit for his attorney?
Who's?
Quinones?
It would have to be done by the clerk. I'll look and see what kind of case is Quinones.
It's one of the PBLs. But I don't
Okay, it's a felony, so it's afternoon staff.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Could you tell me your name, please?
My name is Linda Yeager Schumate.
Ms. Schumate, you are here in case number 20 CF 10875. You were arrested for aggravated battery. I am going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Ms. Bush, I don't find probable cause for the aggravated battery.
Your Honor, if I may have just one moment.
Sure.
No, Your Honor, the state is going to ask the court to find probable cause for 78403,
Simple battery?
simple battery, Your Honor.
Okay.
And that would, for Madam Clerk, that's 78403-7.
Thank you, Ms. Bush. Are there any witnesses here on the Schumate case?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Schumate, I'm going to order, you don't live at the residence, correct?
No, ma'am, I went there to do their nails.
Okay, so you are not to return to the scene.
Yes, ma'am.
You're not to have any contact with the victim.
Yes,
You're not to
ma'am.
possess any weapons or firearms.
Yes, ma'am.
And then I'm going to place you on pretrial release at this time,
Yes, ma'am.
okay? Do you have any
Appreciate-
questions about anything that I've ordered?
No, ma'am.
Your Honor, the state would ask for the no contact to also include the witnesses.
The mother, okay. Ma'am, you understand you can't have any contact with the
Yes,
witness in
ma'am,
the
I
case?
stood- understood you very correctly.
Okay,
There was also a neighbor
okay.
that was witnessing.
You can't have any contact with any of the people
Yeah,
listed in the
I
police report, ma'am.
understand, yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You have a pleasant day.
You too. Counselor, what case are you here on?
Good morning, Judge. I'm here on Christopher Quinones. I was advised, I'm going to throw Lyle under the bus, that IAs were this morning at 9 a.m., but apparently felonies were in the afternoon.
Okay. Tell me your name.
Joel Leopard.
Okay, I thought that was you, Mr.
I know, it's
Leopard,
the
but
mask.
with the mask, I've made
Right.
like 3 mistakes already, and
Yeah.
so now I just ask.
Right, so if you mistook me for example, Lyle Mason, it would be incredibly offensive. So,
Understood. And you said your client is Mr. Quinones?
yes, Your Honor.
All right. Would it be possible to do Mr. Quinones a little later in the session if we could pull him? Yes, Your Honor. Okay. All right. I'm gonna email Jill and have her bring me that paperwork.
Thank you very much, Judge. I appreciate it.
Sure, you're welcome.
And I do apologize. I'll let the attorneys know that the dockets are split up, so you've less of us here coming at the wrong time.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I think, I'm not sure how it is on the website right now. I think it just shows it as one docket. But in the morning is domestic violence, interpreter cases, traffic, and arraignments, and jail arraignments. And then in the afternoon,
Here's down.
it's all the misdemeanor pleables, county ordinances, and felonies.
Was the first one misdemeanor?
Right, but, I mean, you can let everyone know this too, depending on, just because of how things have been going during the pandemic and the court space that we have,
Yeah.
depending on the docket, those do move as well. So if, you know, for example, today we have 30 felony cases, and if there had been a lot of misdemeanors and county ordinances, I may have moved those to the morning because the morning's very light. So it's just kind of, the best advice I can give anyone who has a case is to call either Judge Wish's JA or my JA first thing in the morning. And Jill's usually here by 8 o'clock or before.
Okay.
And they'll let you know when your case is, or you can ask them, you know, when you could have the case heard.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
Sure. All right. Sir, good morning. Tell me your name, please.
John Montalvo.
Mr. Montalvo, you are here in 20 CF 10926. You were arrested of possession of cocaine with intent to sell or deliver, possession of marijuana less than 20 grams, and possession of drug paraphernalia. There's probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription. Your bond on count 1 is going to be $2,500, bond on count 2, $100, bond on count 3, $100. You are also arrested in 20 MM 233 for battery. There's probable cause for that offense, and I'll appoint the public defender to represent you in that case as well. Is there any witnesses here for Mr. Montalvo?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Sir, you are not to have any contact with the victim. You're to maintain a separate residence. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. You may return to the home one time to get your things if needed with law enforcement. Do you have any questions about anything that I've ordered?
No, ma'am, I don't live there. I was just dropping off my son, so I would
Okay,
I
so
would
I
get that
understand-
resolved.
Okay. I don't want you to
Yeah.
talk to me about the facts necessarily, but
Yes, ma'am.
the no contact order does apply to the children as well, so you need to have your lawyer file a motion to have that modified.
Yes, ma'am.
And bond on that matter will be $500. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
If you go there, you'll be able to modify the contact with your son. Just talk to your attorney.
All right. Thank you.
Sir, good morning. Your name?
Carlos Roberts.
Mr. Roberts, this is 20 CF 10934. You were arrested for burglary of a conveyance with an assault or battery therein. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Is there a witness here on Mr. Roberts' case?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Roberts, you are not to have any contact with the victim. You are to maintain a separate residence. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. You may return one time with the police to get your things if needed. Ms. Bush, were you asking to be heard as to bond?
Yes, Your Honor. The state would ask the court to find, based on the facts in the sworn arrest affidavit, that contains facts that were provided by a person that's in a position to know Mr. Roberts and identified Mr. Roberts as the individual that did commit this burglary with the assault or battery. State would ask the court to find proof is evident or presumption is great that Mr. Roberts is the person so identified and hold him at no bond. The state would also ask the court to take into consideration his criminal history, which does include numerous violent crimes, convictions for battery, conviction for assault, conviction for battery on law enforcement, carjacking conviction, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon.
Thank you, Ms. Bush. Mr. Matos?
Yes, Your Honor. If I point to the affidavit, the victim said that he was punched 3 times, one in the face, one in the left side of the hip, and one in the stomach, and claims that Mr. Roberts said that he punched him in the stomach because he did not want the child. Your Honor, I would like to point to the defendant, Mr. Roberts. He's 6'2", 240 pounds, and pointing back to the affidavit, there is no marks on the victim whatsoever. We know that the victim follows him and tells him he's going to go to jail that day. It's just showing that the victim wants Mr. Roberts to go to jail, but there is no physical evidence of any actual touching as the thing. On the opposite, Mr. Roberts actually says that he never touched the victim physically, and that as soon as he left the home, he drove all the way up to his aunt's house. Your Honor, just based on the facts, I do not believe that proof is evident, and the guilt is evident and proof is great, and therefore I would ask the court to
upon the facts that are contained in the sworn arrest affidavit, I don't believe that the state's met their burden to establish that there is proof evident or presumption great. So, Mr. Roberts, you are entitled to a bond. Mr. Matos, did you want to take any testimony from Mr. Roberts about what a reasonable bond would be and what he can afford?
Yeah, of course, Your Honor.
Okay, so, Mr. Roberts, could you please raise your right hand to be sworn in?
Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts, can you tell me what you do for work?
I'm currently out of work because I'm sick. I got a heart failure. I have heart failure. I have a defibrillator on right now. I can hardly even stand, like my balance is off, my equilibrium is off. I just came from the hospital the day before yesterday.
Okay.
Mr. Roberts, how long have you been unemployed?
I've been unemployed for about 2 months because I've been sick.
I understand. And do you have any property?
No, sir.
Any cars?
No, sir.
How long have you been living here in Orlando?
I've been living in Orlando for 47 years. I was born here.
And are you planning on going anywhere else?
No, sir.
Do you have any family here in Orlando?
Yes, I have my aunt, and I have just my auntie, and it's just us. My two aunts. It's just us living alive. Everybody else passed away.
Can they help you?
Yes,
post
sir.
this
They
bond?
can help me.
And what do they do for work?
They both retired. One is a retired correctional officer, and the other one is a retired Universal Studio, Universal worker, whatever.
So, in my understanding that they're getting Social Security benefits.
Yes,
whatever
yes,
benefits they
yes,
might have.
yes.
And the fact that Your Honor, just based on the fact that my client, Mr. Roberts, is just released, he hasn't been working for a few months, doesn't have any property. The only two people that might be actually able to help him pay bond would be his two aunts. We would ask the court to set a reasonable bond of $5,000 at this time.
Ms. Bush?
Your Honor, the state is going to defer to the court as to what would be reasonable.
Thank you, Ms. Bush. All right, at this time, Mr. Roberts, I am going to set bond at $20,000. That's based upon the testimony presented along with your criminal history. I think that's an appropriate bond and based upon the facts contained in the affidavit. Do you have any questions at all about any of the conditions of release I also ordered?
No, ma'am.
All right, sir, thank you.
Can't pay that, call this number, talk to the attorney for a bond deduction motion.
All right, thank you.
Early on this one's kind of backwards, so I just only need to still set bond on what he was arrested on, right? That's all you have on your form? Because they filed for Thierry, they filed the 3-count information. Okay. Sir, good morning, your name?
Anthony Thierry.
Mr. Thierry, sir, you are here in 20 CF 7486. You were arrested pursuant to a probable cause warrant for aggravated stalking after injunction. I am going to appoint the public defender to represent you. The state has filed a 3-count information charging you with aggravated stalking after injunction, violation of a domestic violence injunction or foreign protection order by communicating or contacting, and violation of a domestic violence injunction or foreign protection order by communicating or contacting. So there's 2 counts of the same thing. Today, I just need to set bond on the warrant count. Is that correct? That's all you all have in your system that needs to have bond? Okay. So in that case, bond is going to be set at $5,000, sir. You are not to have any contact with the victim, and you are to abide by the injunction that is currently in place. Do you have any questions at all about anything that I've ordered?
Sorry, ma'am, I didn't hear that last
That's okay,
part.
Mr. Chair. Do you have any questions about anything that I've ordered?
So that's my whole bond, pretty much?
Correct.
And you said there was 2 charges?
There's 3. So their warrant only had 1 charge on it that they initially arrested you or got the arrest warrant for. But since that time, the state has filed an information, which is the official charging document, with 3 charges on it.
Okay.
And your lawyer will be able to explain that in more
I
detail.
do plan on acquiring legal representation, though.
Sure. So if you end up hiring another lawyer,
Yes, ma'am.
then you can they'll know what to do.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Your Honor, may we have a no weapons and firearms order?
Okay, so
I mean, I think that's contained in the injunction.
I wasn't sure that whether I'd seen it or not.
Okay,
but-
Mr. Thierry, I'm gonna also add in the event that it was not in the injunction, that you are not to possess any weapons or firearms, sir.
No, ma'am, absolutely not.
All right, thank you. Good morning, sir. Your name?
Good morning.
Tell me your name.
William Ernst.
Mr. Ernst, this is 20 MM 6568. You were arrested for battery domestic violence. There's probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Is there a witness here for Mr. Ernst?
No, Your Honor.
Sir, you are not to have any contact with the victim. You're to maintain a separate residence. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. If you need to return to the residence to get your things, you may do so one time with the police. I'm going to place you on pretrial release. Do you have any questions about anything that I've ordered?
No, no, ma'am.
All right, sir, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir. Your name?
Justin Harrington, ma'am.
Mr. Harrington, this is 20 MM 6584. You were arrested for battery domestic violence. There's probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Is there a witness here for Mr. Harrington?
No, Your Honor.
Sir, you're not to have any contact with the victim. You're to maintain a separate residence. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. I'm going to place you on pretrial release at this time. Do you have any questions about anything that I've ordered, sir?
I do, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
I have a 50-50 custody agreement with my son and,
Okay.
and his mom.
Okay.
She took my son because of, like, she basically showed up at my house unwanted, dropped him off yesterday. When she left, the cop showed up and arrested me. I'm kind of confused as to
Okay.
what's going on. I understand this isn't the time to plead my case.
Sure.
My question is there any way that I can still uphold my contract with my son so I can see him because this is going on, or am I not allowed to have contact with him?
Do you have a third party who can facilitate?
There is a third
contact?
party that would be able to do transfers.
Who would that
and
be?
Parents.
Your parents?
My parents and her parents, more or less.
Okay.
My son's grandparents would be able to do the swap, my dad and her mom, I guess, but I don't think that it's stipulated in there that they're not required to, like, I'm not required to give my son to Ashley's stepmom, to Ashley's mom, and vice versa, so all she has to do is say no. My dad doesn't have to pick him up, and there's no legal rights for, like, I won't have my son.
Right, so the order that's being entered today is an order that does pertain to children, right? So if it's no contact with your girlfriend or ex-girlfriend, then you're not to have any contact with the child either until it's modified by the court. So,
What would be the quickest way to get me into court so I can have that modified?
well, that's what I'm asking you about today, is who could be a person, who could be the one person who could facilitate contact between your ex-girlfriend regarding your son?
Jay Harrington, my father.
Jay Harrington? Okay,
Yes.
so I will modify that. And that will be, you're only allowed to have contact regarding your son through Jay Harrington.
So I am still allowed to have him for my week at a time,
Right,
as
but if
long as
your
my
dad
dad goes to pick him
well,
up.
listen, if your dad contacts him and.
He's
or
only two-
I'm sorry, if your dad contacts her and she says no, then you're gonna need to go to family court,
Understood.
okay?
Understood.
But this allows your dad, as a third party, to contact her regarding your son.
Understood.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you very
Okay.
much. And
Anything else?
how was my bond?
She's let you on PCR. They'll tell you what's going on.
And Your Honor, on this one, we do have a victim.
Oh, thank you. Good morning, your name, sir?
Luis Larabos.
Sir, you're here in 20 MM 790. You were arrested for battery domestic violence. There's probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Tell me your name, please.
Mark. Mark. Mark.
I'm going to need you to speak right into the microphone for
Mark.
me.
Mark.
Mark? Did you say your last name Larabors?
Yes.
Is that correct? All right. Mr. Larabors, could you please raise your right hand to be sworn in by the clerk?
Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Mr. Larabors, you're going to have to move right up to the microphone and so that we can all hear you, okay? Do you want to have contact with your dad?
Sure. Yeah. Not really, but
I'm so sorry, but I can't hear you.
not really, but
He said
sure.
Not really. You're-
Not really. I don't know what that means. What
But
does not
sure,
mean?
sure. Yes.
Okay. Are you afraid of your dad?
No. It's just
I see you shaking your head no.
no. I'm not afraid of my dad. No. It's just
Is this your mom here with you? Okay. Mom, could I have you come to the microphone?
Yes.
Thank you. And would you raise your right hand to be sworn in as well?
Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please state your name for the record.
Ma'am, tell me your name, please.
My name? I cannot hear.
Ma'am, do you speak English?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I'm sorry. I just didn't know if you couldn't hear me or you were having a difficulty understanding.
Cannot hear.
You can't hear?
Yeah, now I got you. I
Now you hear
I
me?
can hear.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you, thank you. Ma'am, do you have any concerns about your safety or your son's safety if your husband were to come home?
No comments.
Okay.
No comments.
Oh, did the court
She
hear?
said no comment, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, I really don't have any other questions, Ms. Bush. Did you have any questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Matos? All right. Mr. Larbois, at this time, I am going to order that you're not to have any contact with your son. You're to maintain a separate residence. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. You may go back to the house one time with the police to get your things if needed. And I'm going to place you on pretrial release at this time.
I don't have an address.
Pardon me?
Where do I go?
I don't know. You'll have to call a family
Let me see.
member or a
Wait,
friend.
Miss, Judge, Amy, I need my dad. Yeah, I didn't see him. I need my dad. He's okay. He's okay to come home.
Well, I have some concerns because you hesitated quite a bit when I asked you the question, and then I
No.
asked your mom, and she said no
I did
comment.
not see him.
Yeah, we
right
need
now.
him.
And I
We
see-
need him.
Yeah.
Please, we need him.
He's good to come home for today. He's good to come home because he's okay to come home. He's okay.
We need him. Yes.
Okay. In this environment, in this context today, I'm just not comfortable ordering that at this time based upon the testimony.
No, I did not. Sorry, Miss. I need my dad. I didn't see him right now. He's okay to come home. Before he's okay to come home.
I don't know what you mean by you didn't see him.
I was looking at you. I didn't really look at the surrounding because it's just.
But I don't
have no
understand how
idea.
that changes your mind.
I'm waiting
No,
for it.
he's okay to come home. He's good to come home.
Can I say,
Can you ask him a few more questions? See if anything gets done?
I can't hear you, Mr. Matos.
I'm sorry. Like, it's just, they seem just scared to, like, answer questions. I don't know if it's because we're here. So,
Well, did you want to ask them some questions? Because I don't know why they don't want to answer the
I would
questions.
ask him a few questions. Can I speak to you, ma'am? I'm your husband's attorney at this point. I just want to ask you a few questions on what's going on. And I need you to answer, because if you say no comment, then we don't have enough information to decide whether he can come home or not.
Yes, I need my husband home.
Yeah.
I understand. So are you scared of your husband?
No, not at all.
Do you have any concern about your son if your husband is allowed to come home?
Not at all.
No.
Can you explain to us why you decided to no comment on the first time we brought you to
The reason why, because I didn't want to, because I wasn't home when that thing happened. I wasn't there, so I didn't have nothing to say. Because, I didn't have nothing to say, I wasn't there. But now I need my husband to be home with my children, please.
Can I speak to your son Mark for a second, y'all?
Yes.
Hey, how's it going, Mark? Can you tell me, are you scared of your dad?
No, I'm not afraid of my dad.
Has anything like this ever happened before?
Well, no. No.
You hesitated. Has you have any physical violence happen in the house?
No.
Has the police ever been called?
No.
Even if it hasn't been called? Well, Your Honor, just based on the information that they are relying now, I would ask for non-hostile contact.
Your Honor, the state would like to query. And
It
this
has,
This
yes.
question is for you, Mark.
Okay.
You have a sister, is that correct?
Yes, I was just,
And has there ever been any violence in the home with regard to your sister?
no.
And now this question is for Mom. Ma'am, do you have any concerns about either of your children's safety with your husband being home?
No problem. I have no problem with him to be home. We safe. Because I wasn't there, I didn't know what happened.
Okay.
Now we safe. We're gonna be safe.
And ma'am, if you could step just a little bit closer to the microphone. Has there ever been any violence in your home, whether it was reported or not, in which any member of your household was a victim of your husband?
No. No.
And this is for Mark. Mark, one last question. If something like the event that occurred the other day, and you felt threatened, would you call law enforcement if you felt your safety, your mom's safety, or your sister's safety was threatened? I'm sorry? You would not call law enforcement? Okay, let me make sure you understand the reason behind my question. If you found yourself in a position where you were being threatened and you were afraid that you or someone else in the house was going to be hurt, would you call law enforcement to protect yourself or anybody else in the house?
Oh, yeah.
Yes?
Protect.
Okay.
If things were that bad, but it
All
wouldn't- I
right.
wouldn't-
Thank you, sir. I have no further
All right.
questions.
So,
Your Honor.
Mark, when I started asking you questions at the beginning of the hearing, were you confused about my questions?
Yeah, I was a little bit.
Okay. And that's the impression that I got from you as well, Mom, that you didn't quite understand the question?
Yeah, I wasn't understand, that's the reason, yes. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
All right. So based upon the additional questioning, I'll modify the order to no hostile contact. Sir, do you understand what that means?
I understand.
Okay, so you're not to have any hostile contact with your son, and you're not to possess any weapons or firearms. I'm still gonna place you on pretrial release.
I never had any weapon. I don't have
understand.
weapons.
That's okay. This is part of the order.
All right, thank you. Did you have any questions?
You'll be released today.
He's going to be released later today.
Later today? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So I can go home?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
I apologize for the
Thank you, Mark, I understand. Have a nice day.
And Your Honor, when the next victims come in, if you could just ask them to keep their masks on since he took his down.
Sure.
They're going to be right there against the microphone.
Yes, Ms. Bush.
Thank you.
All right. Ma'am, good morning. Tell me your name.
Oh, I'm sorry, I beg your pardon.
That's okay. Tell me your name.
Dulce Saron.
Ms. Rom, that's 20 6571. You were arrested for 2 counts of battery, domestic violence. There's probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm going to have to just ask you to speak very closely to the microphone, but to leave your masks on. I know it's difficult, but the prior parties had pulled theirs down, so I just want to make sure that you're protected, okay?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to start with the gentleman on my left. Or actually, you both haven't been sworn in because you couldn't hear. Could you please raise your right hands to be sworn in?
Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes.
Yes.
All
Okay,
right.
state your name for the record.
Michael Cerrone. Michael Cerrone.
All right. Senior and junior?
Yes.
Okay. This will be directed to Mr. Strone Jr. Do you want to have contact with your mom?
Yes, I would.
Are you afraid of her?
No, not at all.
You have any concerns about your safety if I were to allow her to return to the home?
No, not at all.
Have there been any instances of violence in the home in the past?
No, not at all.
All right. And to you, Mr. Cerrone Sr., do you want to have contact with your wife?
Absolutely.
All right. Do you have any concerns about your safety or your son's safety if I were to allow contact?
Absolutely none at all.
Are there any other children in the home
No.
or family members?
No.
Okay. And have there been any previous instances of violence in the past? in the
No,
home?
we had a great relationship and she's a loving mother and wife.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Bush, any questions?
No, Your Honor.
No questions.
Ma'am, at this time, I'm going to order that you are not to have any hostile with your husband or your son. Do you understand what that means?
Yes.
You're also not to possess any weapons or firearms. And I'm going to place you on pretrial release at this time.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
That
So-
just means you're gonna go back there with you, just in case the state decides to testify.
Your
You'll be
Honor.
released later today.
Unfortunately, it's hard to hear you, so we can't hear.
No problem. So what I explained to her is she's not to have any hostile contact with either of you. So that means she's not to act aggressively towards you. She's not to argue, fight, that kind of thing. No weapons or firearms. She's going to be placed on pretrial release at this time, which means she's going to have to phone in every week to check in with a pretrial release officer until the case has been resolved in court. You won't have to pay a bond to get her out of jail. They will release her later today, and she'll be able to
Okay.
call you and let you know she's ready to be picked up.
We appreciate everything you did. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.
Can we leave?
Yes, you're finished. Thank you. Good morning, your name?
Essence Swift.
Ms. Swift, you are here in 20 6552. You were arrested for battery domestic violence. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Good morning.
Good morning, how you doing?
Could you tell me your name, please?
Oh, Winston Henry?
Mr. Henry, could you please raise your right hand to be sworn in?
Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Mr. Henry, do you want to have contact with Ms. Swift?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
Mr. Henry, you're very tall, so if you could lean toward the microphone
lean
for me
toward
so I
the
can hear
microphone.
you. Thank you. Do you have any concerns about your children's safety if I were to allow contact between the two of you?
No, no concerns at all.
Do you want to continue living together?
Yes.
Have there been any instances of violence in the past?
Oh, not really.
What does not really mean?
Maybe years ago.
Mr. Henry, I'm so sorry, but I need you to speak into the microphone.
Maybe a couple years ago, but it was not really major.
I couldn't understand what you said.
Years ago, but it was not really major. It was just we had a little argument. It wasn't even supposed to get this far, so. Do you hear me?
How long have you been in a relationship with Miss Swift?
5 years.
How many?
5.
5?
Yes.
And during the last 5 years, have there been any instances of violence between you? I'm not asking about arguing, I'm asking about violence. Hitting, punching?
No.
No. Okay. Ms. Bush, did you have any questions for Mr. Henry?
Mr. Henry, you all are here on vacation,
Yes.
and when do you plan on returning home?
As soon as she could get out.
Okay. And if something like this were to happen again, and you felt that you or your children were in danger, would you call law enforcement?
Yes.
Do you believe that alcohol or any kind of controlled substance might have contributed to her behavior?
No.
I have no further questions. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
All right, so Ms. Swift, at this time, I'm gonna order that you're not to have any hostile contact with your husband. Do you understand what that means?
No.
I couldn't hear you.
No.
No, okay. So that means you're not to act aggressively toward him in any way. You're not to argue, you're not to fight. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. You're also not to possess any weapons or firearms. I will place you on pretrial release at this time, so you're gonna need to check in with the pretrial release officer while you're at home, pending the outcome of your case in court. I don't know what the state of Florida is gonna decide to do with the case. If they decide to file formal charges against you, you are gonna have to return to the state of Florida. If you don't, a warrant will be issued for your arrest. Okay?
Will I get
Go ahead.
Sorry, will I get something in the mail for that?
You will. You need to make sure that the clerk of the court has your correct address, also that your lawyer has your correct address so that you do get notice.
Okay.
Okay? Any questions about anything that I've ordered?
So you said that I will be released today?
You will be released today.
Okay.
Yes. Ms. Bush?
Yes, Your Honor. In an abundance of caution, if there is a trespass warning at the Hilton Gardens, she is to abide by that. If the court could give her a one-time return.
Sure. Ms. Swift, I will order that you can return to the Hilton Garden Inn one time with the police to get your things if needed, or I'm sure your husband would be able to get your things. Okay?
Okay.
Anything else?
No, that's
Okay. Any questions, Mr. Henry?
No, that's it.
All right, thank you, sir.
Oh, take it. I'm signing it.
Good morning. Your name?
Brian Torres.
Mr. Torres, you're here in 20 MM 6587. You were arrested for violating a domestic injunction. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You are to abide by the injunction in 20 DR 5805. Your bond is going to be $1,500. I am not going to take any action on 20 CT 3334, but I'm going to add the condition that you're going to be subject to random urinalysis testing through pretrial release. Do you have any questions about anything that I've ordered? On the out-on bond? Yeah. Yeah. Good morning, sir. Your name?
Dario Williams, ma'am.
Mr. Williams, this is 20 MM 6579. You were arrested for battery. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to have any contact with the victim. You are to maintain a separate residence. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. Bond is going to be $500.
Your Honor, were you going to take any action on his out on bond case?
I'm not finished yet. Just one
Okay.
second. revoking the bond in 20 CF 9506, that's going to be set at none. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Holmes?
He's medical, Your Honor.
He's medical? Is Mr. Holmes here on a violation of probation?
Yes, he's here on a violation, it says, of parole. And they also, the bondsman's on his 2020 CT 5201 AO case came off the bonds. So he will need to be seen on the driving with suspended revoked license case.
Right, I was just wondering what else is he here for?
The violation of
The violation of parole?
probation.
All right, well, I'm RORing him on 20 CT 520 on the driving while license suspended case.
And that was Mr. Parks, Your Honor?
Pardon me?
Was that Mr. Parks?
Mr. Holmes.
Holmes.
I will, yes. Mr. Matos, I appointed your office on that case.
Eric Wilkes is also medical, Your Honor.
Is he in arraignment? Okay,
Yes.
thank you. I'm sorry, Dexter, you said medical?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. That's 20 MM 4726. This is his arraignment. He's represented by you, Mr. Matos. Do you want to waive his appearance and enter a plea of not guilty?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So that is going to be a Division 85 case. That's in front of Judge Allen, pretrial conference, October 5th at 9 a.m., courtroom 4A. Sir, good morning.
Good morning.
Tell me your name, please.
Amal Douglas.
Mr. Douglas, sir, you are here in 20 MM 2872. This is your arraignment for the offenses of resisting officer without violence and trespass in an occupied structure. You're represented by the Office of the Public Defender. Mr. Matos, how would he like to proceed?
Your Honor, I think we have an offer from Ms. Bush, Douglas Moore. It's Aggravated. I just want to ask him if he's willing to take. So, to give Your Honor, he's in here for another case, so we're gonna enter our grand jury not guilty.
Not guilty? Okay. Mr. Douglas, you are going to be in Division 62, which is Judge Cameron. Pretrial conference is October 22nd at 9 a.m., and that's courtroom 9B, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And then Mr. Barconi,
I believe he was, written to not guilty.
Your Honor, I submitted one to them yesterday.
Okay.
I sent them an email this morning. That they don't have the name.
okay, great. So then we don't need to announce dates for Mr. Barconi? Okay, perfect. So you entered a denial, though, on his VOP?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect, okay. Do you need dates on that one? Barconi, okay. Good morning, tell me your name.
Danny Garcia.
Mr. Garcia. Oh, I see, okay. This was reset at the request of the public defender.
Is this his status here?
Right, so the Public Defender's Office requested that 20 MM 6350 be recited. Apparently, when Mr. Garcia was brought to first appearance, the judge was told that he refused to come to court. However, he indicated to, I think, his lawyer, that you were sleeping on the
Yes.
bus. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Bush, do you have any objection to him being able to have his initial appearance to potentially resolve the case?
Your Honor, I am not allowed to plea it after, because I pulled the records, and it was the court waived his appearance, so the initial appearance has already been held.
All right. So, Mr. Matos, why don't you file a bond motion? Okay. Your lawyer's gonna file a bond motion for you, sir, okay? I'll probably get that later this afternoon.
Wait a minute, but I've been here 11 days.
I understand, so the rules do not require, or do not allow a plea to be taken on a misdemeanor after initial appearance. I understand that your lawyer has argued that you didn't have initial appearance, but the court minutes indicate that it was completed. So now, you can resolve your case on another day, but I've asked your lawyer to send me a bond motion, so you can potentially be released, and then you'll just have to resolve it on another day.
Are you be released today?
Well, I gotta read the motion first.
I just sent it to your attorney, he'll be sending it.
What kind of motion would it be?
A bond motion. They're gonna ask me to release you, I'm sure, on your own recognizance.
Today?
They're gonna ask me to do that. I have to receive the motion, so this is what's gonna happen. They have to contact the lawyer on the other side. They have to have notice that they filed the motion.
Okay, I understand now.
And then I have to read it.
Okay, thank you
Okay?
very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Bye-bye.
All right. Good morning, your name?
Good morning, ma'am. Dennis Hamlet.
Ms.
Dennis Hamlet.
Hamlet. Do you have the minutes from when he came through?
Is this on the add-on docket?
Yes. So this is an Osceola County case. Can you tell me what charges he has? How many counts? And what the current bonds are?
He has 2 counts, one for petty theft, third offense, and resisting merchant. On the resisting merchant, the bond is $150. On the petty theft, the bond is $1,000.
Do you have access to a face sheet for Mr. Hamlet?
Let me check.
Thank you. Did Amy Smith already come?
Do you need this one on jacket? Okay, it's just the extra, okay. What about Brandon? Brandon.
I don't know if I'll be able to go back that far. with the face sheet, I don't think I'll be able to go back to his initial appearance.
No, I just need any face sheet,
Any
current
face
face sheet, with his criminal history and his failures to appear.
No, Your Honor.
Thanks very much. Oh, I appreciate it, thank you.
I'm sorry, Dexter.
All right, this is an Osceola County case 20 CF 2495. We contacted Judge Morgan, who would defer to the discretion of the IA judge handling the warrant. So at this time, Mr. Hamlin, I'm going to release you on your own recognizance on each of the counts. You're not to return to the scene or have any contact with any of the witnesses in the case. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms, and you are to appear at all court dates, sir. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am. When is the court
You'll
date?
need to contact the public defender in Osceola County within 24 hours of your release from custody to make sure that they have your correct address so that you get notice of your court date, sir.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good morning. Tell me your name, please.
Michael Vincent Williams.
Mr. Williams, this is an out-of-county status hearing from Osceola County, 18 CT 1504. Per Judge Janswitz, sir, your bond is to be set at $2,000. Okay? Thank you, sir. The public defender is appointed to represent you so they can coordinate with Osceola County on your case.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, do you need time to read anything on Quinones?
Oh, I will, yes. And then what about Amy Smith? All right. The Public Defender's Office was previously appointed to represent her in the Osceola County case 20 CF 715. Mr. Matos, do you want to waive her appearance?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Judge Morgan has set her bond at $2,000 for count 1 and $500 as to count 2. And then what about Mariah Lattimore?
Also,
All right, Mr. Matos, your office was previously appointed to represent her. Do you want to waive her appearance?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's again an Osceola County status hearing, 19 CT 944. We did contact Judge Arendas as to that case, Mr. Matos, and she has no objection to a plea here. So once she's released from medical, you can get that on the docket.
Will do, Your Honor.
And then Joshua Brannon.
East Hospital.
All right, Mr. Matos, again, your office represents Mr. Brannon. Do you want to waive the appearance?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's an out-of-county status hearing from Osceola County, 19 CF 3261, per Judge Karsten. At this time, the bond will remain at $3,000. All right, that's that. That's this. All right,
Your
and then
Honor,
Mr.
just-
Leopard, I'll need some time to review the materials.
Yes, Your
for
Honor.
your
I
case.
appreciate you taking me.
Sure.
And Your Honor, just a question on Lattimore.
Yes.
The court had information beyond what was printed on the docket. On the docket, it said it was to remain at 0.
Right, so in an email that was sent to me,
Yes.
it said if you want to resolve it in Orange County, that's fine.
Okay, all right.
I just didn't, I said it that way because I don't know what Mariah Lattimore wanted to do on the case, so I didn't want to put plea. Yes, bond is still at 9, correct, they'll have to reset it. need some more time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, just let me know when you're ready.
Thank you.
Quiones, Christopher Quiones, 20. You got it. Here. I'll hold it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You all set? Okay. Can we bring Mr. Quiones out? This is case number 20 CF 10899. Good morning, sir. Please tell me your name.
Christopher Quinones.
All right, and then Mr. Leopard, could you put your appearance on the record, please?
Yes, Joe Leopard on behalf of Mr. Quinones.
All right. Mr. Quiones, you were arrested pursuant to a warrant for 4 counts of sexual battery on a child under 12. Ms. Bush, were you asking to be heard with respect to bond?
Yes, Your Honor. As this is a punishable by life offense, I spoke to defense counsel and informed defense counsel that ordinarily I would seek no bond on this matter. We did discuss whether or not there was an acceptable bond. The state provided a suggestion and a recommendation of bond. However, at this time, the state will make the argument for no bond, but for proof evident presumption grade. And then the state will stop at that proof evident presumption grade. And at that time, I did not get a response as to whether or not the recommended bonds were acceptable or not acceptable, Your Honor. So the state would ask the court to find that, based on the facts in the affidavit, to find that proof is evident or presumption is great. And the state's request is based not only on the victim's statements, but on the statements made by Mr. Quinones in the controlled phone calls. Essentially, this state would direct the court's attention to the section of the controlled phone calls on page 4 of 5, And in that controlled phone call, the victim stated that before she would FaceTime him, she asked him to apologize for taking her virginity, to which Mr. Quinones stated, "I'm sorry." And then she goes on to ask him essentially why he was sorry, knowing that she wasn't ready. He said, "I'm sorry, I thought you were." And when she pointed out that she's only 11, he again stated that he was sorry. And he also stated as a response to a question, he asked her, why didn't she say something beforehand? He asked the 11-year-old child why she didn't say something beforehand. And she said she tried to back out, asked him if he remembered. He stated, "My bad, yeah, I do, I'm sorry." And he went on to say that he thought the victim was playing, quote unquote, hard to get. The state would ask the court to find that proof is evident or presumption is great that Mr. Quinones is the person identified by the victim and is the person that was identified in the controlled phone calls in which he made these statements, and find that proof is evident or presumption is great that Mr. Quinones did commit sexual battery on the child, who was 11 years of age at the time, on 4 different occasions. The state would ask the court to consider a bond of $100,000. I'm sorry, I did not write the bonds down. $100,000 as to count 1, $50,000 as to counts 2, 3, and 4.
I'm sorry, Ms. Bush, would you repeat those amounts for me, please?
$100,000, count 1. $50,000 each subsequent count.
Mr. Leopard, your response?
I'm actually very confused about what the state's position is. When we spoke earlier, the state indicated it'd be 100,000 on count 1 and then 50K. So I wasn't prepared to argue that in this hearing today. I was a little bit blindsided when I reached the podium. And then I also heard some numbers. I'm also slightly hard of hearing, and there are a lot of masks going on.
Sure.
So does the state asking for the 100K, 50K bond, or is the
I think, if
state-
I understand Ms. Bush's argument, is that she believes that there is proof evident or presumption great contained within the arrest affidavit, so she was asking the court to hold him at no bond. And I think in the alternative, she's saying if the court's gonna exercise its discretion to set a bond for Mr. Quinones, this would be her suggested bond amount. So I guess I'd first ask you if you wanna respond to the proof evident presumption great argument presented by the state.
Yeah, so I unfortunately don't have a hard copy of the affidavit, so I have to go on my memory here. It is an extremely high standard to look at in this case, and I think would better be served on a different hearing where I actually had the ability to review the affidavit. And unfortunately, my ability to defend my client in this is a little bit limited, especially when the state offered a bond and then told me later on they were not seeking a bond in the case. So it was a little unusual, not accustomed to being blindsided in that manner.
Well, so, Mr. Leopard, the charge that he has is a punishable by life felony. So in order for the court to continue to hold him at no bond, the state would have to meet that burden. Would you agree?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So she's made the argument. If you want to take a moment to review the affidavit, I'm happy to give you all the time that you need to take a look at that, to be able to respond to the argument. I don't want you to feel rushed in any way to do it. I understand it's a
Sure.
large portion of the case. So I certainly don't want you to feel that you are blindsided or rushed.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm sorry. I've been here for a while too.
I know.
Do you have other cases on the docket this morning?
Not this morning, I do not.
Okay, sure. Well, then, let's go ahead and proceed on that issue. 'Cause
Okay.
I think ultimately, it's probably not going to be the one that carries it. So I do have a handout so that I argue in
Do
bullet
you want to
points,
take
and I
like a
could
10, we
review
can
this.
take a 10-minute recess if you'd like, or 15-minute recess if you'd like to take some time.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
we'll come back at 10, I don't want to put time constraints
Yeah,
on
no,
you.
10 minutes is fine, Judge. I can do that.
Are you sure?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, we'll say 10:50, we'll come back.
Okay,
Okay?
sure.
All right.
Give me 1 second.
Word, please.
Good afternoon, Edith Bush for the Office of the State Attorney.
Good afternoon, Pedro Matos with the Public Defender.
Thank you. Mr. Moses, did you and Ms. Bush talk about Mr. Duckworth?
We did, Your Honor, and if the court is ready to accept it, Mr. Duckworth is ready to enter a plea.
Okay. I don't see any issue why we cannot. If he's going to enter a plea to a misdemeanor, there's no state probation involved. I would be hesitant to do it if that was going to be the case where he would be supervised by state probation, but is it a credit time served?
It's a $250 fine. Court costs.
Okay. And then, Ms. Bush, do you need to file an amended information, or are you just
No,
able
Your
to announce
Honor.
it on the record?
My understanding is that he's pleading to a lesser included offense of petty theft.
Okay.
And that was where the rub was that this is a felony plea, but pleading to a misdemeanor, so.
Right.
But we're good to go on the state's end.
It just makes sense to do it here, especially given the circumstances that we're faced now with releasing Mr. Duckworth and then having to get it scheduled downtown for an out-of-custody plea. We're still in phase one. It just makes sense to me to be able to complete it today.
Plus, he's out of state, so I don't know how that would even work.
Oh, and he actually lives in Georgia?
Correct.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and do the plea today. And then, Ms. Bush, do you have the statute number to what he's pleading to?
I can get it
Okay.
in a jiffy here. It is 812.
Yes.
.014, sub 2, sub E.
Sub E?
Yes, E as an echo.
So Mr. Duckworth is gonna enter a plea to the lesser included offense of petty theft? Is there restitution?
No, Your Honor, there is a cost of investigation.
Okay, what is the cost of investigation?
It is $47.02,
Okay,
and it's to the Orlando Police Department.
okay, and then,
And does the court want a cost of investigation order?
yes, please. And then it's an adjudication of guilt
Yes, ma'am.
and $250 fine?
Yes, ma'am.
All right,
And no return to the scene.
is it Target, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes, the address is 4750 Millennia Plaza Way.
Got it. All right. All right, this is case number 18 CF 5861. Sir, please tell me your name.
It's Jamie Blake Duckworth.
All right, Mr. Duckworth, could you please raise your right hand to be sworn in by the clerk?
Please swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
All right, and Mr. Moses, would you place your appearance on the record,
Your Honor,
please?
Andrew Moses, on behalf of Mr. Duckworth.
All right, Mr. Duckworth, it's my understanding that you would like to withdraw your previously entered plea of not guilty and enter a plea of no contest to the lesser included offense of petty theft. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right, and we were just talking here in open court, the negotiated agreement is an adjudication of guilt, a $250 fine. You'll have to pay court costs, which will include the cost of investigation of $47.02 to the Orlando Police Department, and you're not to return to the Target in the Millennia Plaza. Is that your understanding of the agreement?
It is.
Did you have an opportunity to talk to your lawyer about the plea agreement?
I have.
And did you have an opportunity to read and review the plea form?
I did.
Do you have any questions about any of the rights on the plea form that you would be giving up?
No, ma'am.
Are you currently on probation?
I am on parole in Georgia.
Okay.
As
And-
of yesterday, I just got out of prison.
Okay. And Mr. Moses, have you had a chance to talk to your client about how this plea may affect that
It
parole, if
would.
any?
This had actually predated the original sentence, so this is not a violation of parole.
Okay. Mr. Duckworth, are you under the influence of any drugs, alcohol, or medication?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand that as a result of this plea, if you are not a U.S. citizen, that this will subject you to deportation?
Understand. I'm a U.S. citizen.
All right, sir. At this time, I will accept your plea, adjudicate you guilty to the crime of petty theft, which is a lesser included offense. Florida statute 812.014 sub 2 sub E. Sentence you, or adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to a $250 fine. You'll have to pay court costs along with $47.02 to the Orlando Police Department, and you're not to return to the target. You'll need to pay those court costs, including the fine and cost of investigation, by September 10th of 2021. You have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing, sir.
Understand. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Your Honor. I appreciate the accommodation, everyone.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Counselor, who are you here on?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Julie Clark for Jerry Chrisman, Crismon.
Yes. I'm sorry, you say you're Miss Clark?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Miss Clark. And it's Chrisman?
Correct.
Do we need some time to pull Mr. Chrisman, Dexter?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Clark, we'll call you up as soon as he's ready.
Yes, Your Honor.
Maybe it's talking with the mask.
Yeah. Thank you, Your Honor. May I approach?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll take.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Bush. Good afternoon, your name?
Jerry Chrisman.
All right, Mr. Chrisman, Arlene, can you tell me where this would be in the docket?
What kind of case is
What type of case is this?
Your Honor, it's a violation of probation for an aggravated battery with deadly weapon.
All right, let me find that.
This is a
I
felony
got it.
warrant,
It's a felony warrant, yeah.
and I believe it's 2013.
All right. This is case number 09CF12865. If I could just have you place your appearance on the record, please.
Julie Clark on behalf of Jerry Chrisman.
Mr. Crimson, you were arrested pursuant to a violation of probation warrant. The warrant was signed by Judge Roche. It currently has a no bond status. Ms. Clark, did you want to be heard?
Yes, Your Honor.
Sure.
Your Honor, we would be requesting that you entertain an or tennis motion to set a reasonable bond in this case. I can take testimony or give you just a little bit of background before I do that. Mr. Chrisman just got here. He was extradited from Missouri. He had been serving a 7.5-year sentence. He's been incarcerated since this violation of probation, but he got out on parole on good behavior, and so he has another 4.5 years on parole/probation in Sarasota. He's already gotten that successfully transferred to Sarasota, Florida, where his family resides, and we would just be asking that you set a reasonable bond in this case so he can start down there in Sarasota County.
Sure. So that's going to be a motion that's going to have to be heard in Division 12. So based upon the violation of probation and the charge, Mr. Crimson is a violent felony offender of special concern, so he's not legally entitled to a bond today. So that's something that you'll have to file in front of Judge Roche, and they'll have to do a danger hearing. So I understand exactly what you're saying, but I'm not legally allowed to give him a bond today.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay?
Thank you.
And that's in Division 12 in front of Judge Roche.
Yes, I'll get that filed. Thank you.
Yep. Stephanie Best.
Yes.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Your name? Miss Best? You're here in 20 MM 6586. You were arrested for possession of drug paraphernalia and for prostitution. There's probable cause. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. Miss Best, do you have a place where you're going to be staying here in Orlando?
I've been trying to get into the coalition.
Okay, but your intent is to stay here in town? All right, and you're going to appear at all court dates? Ma'am, I'm going to order that you're not to possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription. And I'm going to release you on your own recognizance at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Your
ma'am.
Honor, the state would ask for the order of the prostitution mapping zone, Your Honor.
Yes, and Ms. Bush, just refresh my memory, that will be provided to her upon her release?
I'm getting ready to fill it out for her
Okay.
right now.
So, Ms. Best, there's also a prostitution mapping zone that you will not be allowed to return to as part of your release conditions. The state attorney is going to provide that to you, so you know exactly where that is.
Okay.
Okay? Good afternoon, your name?
Cadero Rutland.
Did you say Alan Brown?
Cadero Rutland.
I'm sorry, Alan Brown refused, Your Honor.
He refused. All right, we'll take care of Mr. Brown in just a second. Mr. Rutland, sir, you are here in case number 20MM 6575. You were arrested for petty theft. There's probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to return to the Ace Hardware. Your bond is $500, and I'm revoking the bond in Would it be possible to enter a plea on his out on bond case? It says it's a misdemeanor. Mr. Rutland, if possible, would you be interested in resolving your out on bond petty theft?
Your Honor, I'm showing was that filed as a misdemeanor? I'm showing it as a felony.
Oh, it
petty
upgraded?
theft.
It went
Yes.
the other way?
Yes.
Oh, excuse me, okay, I misread the information sheet, so we won't be able to do that. So I'm gonna revoke the 20 CF 7482. The bond in that case is gonna be, reset at $1,000. Thank you, sir. And then this is Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown, this is 20 MM 6569. Mr. Matos, I'll point your office to represent him. Do you want to waive his appearance?
Waive his appearance, Your Honor.
He was arrested for trespass on property after warning. There is probable cause. He's not to return to the scene. Bond is $500. Good afternoon, your name?
Williams Christian.
Sir, this is 20 MM 6583. You were arrested for resisting officer without violence and for trespass on property after warning. There's probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Is there an offer for Mr. Williams?
No, Your Honor. Not at this time. I haven't had an opportunity to speak with the officer.
All right, Mr. Williams, I'm going to release you on your own recognizance at this time. You are not to return to the bus station, sir. Do you understand?
Yes.
You are also to appear at all court dates.
They never gave me a refund for my money. That's why I was staying up at the bus stop. I waited outside in the front for them to give me a refund I did not receive.
Okay, so I can't help you with that, but I can tell you that you can't go back to the bus station even for that reason, or you're going to get rearrested.
What about a different location because I have to get on the bus to go back home until I move up here for school?
Whatever the address is where you were arrested, you can't return to.
Okay, just the
on
address.
John Young.
Okay,
Okay?
yes.
Thank you.
And may I approach Your Honor?
Yes, thank you. Let's go back to your. Good afternoon, your name?
Cardell.
Sir, you are here in case number 20MM4174. You were arrested for failing to appear at arraignment for the offense of petty theft. Ms. Bush, do you have an offer for Mr. Cotto?
Yes, Your Honor, if I may have.
Sure.
And this was 20 mm.
Okay. I'm not the only one? Okay.
And this is Mr. Caudill?
Yes.
Your Honor, thank you. Your Honor, I'm not certain.
Okay.
If he wants to, his last conviction in August of this year was petty theft with a prior theft conviction.
Okay.
And if I'm looking at the right case, this is a petty theft. I don't know that he, but at this time, the state's not going to convey the offer.
Mr. Matos, do you want to talk to your client about whether or not he wants to enter a plea to this case?
Sure.
This will be the second petty theft, Your Honor, right, Your Honor?
This would be the third,
Oh, this will be the third, so.
because he was previously convicted of the same.
So let me put it, well, I guess that's the charge. Which would have misdemeanor now. But there's no offer, is there?
We have to plea to the court.
So we could have to plead to the court to solve it today, so you don't come back.
Yeah, I want to plead to solve it today.
Okay. Ms. Bush, is there a cost of investigation?
There is, Your Honor. It's to the Orlando Police Department in the amount of $170.91.
Okay.
And does the court need a factual basis or?
I have it here. I have the arrest warrant. But I just wanted to make sure. It says that they recovered the merchandise of the
Yes.
mouthwash? Okay. How many days does Mr. Caudill have?
He has 2 days. Well, one day it was arrested in Osceola on the first time, and he bonded that same day. So I guess 2 days. 2 days.
2 days today, and then that
Yeah,
one day
with
be
today.
3. So 9 days, 15th, right?
Mr. Caudill, you wanted to enter a plea?
Yeah, no contest.
Okay. Did you have a chance to talk to your lawyer about the consequences of your plea?
Yep.
Did you read the plea form before court?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about any of the rights that you're giving up?
No.
Are you on probation?
No.
Do you understand that if you're not a U.S. citizen, this plea will result in your deportation?
Yes.
Are you under the influence of any drugs, alcohol, or medication?
No.
All right, sir, at this time, I'm going to accept your plea adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 3 days in jail. You've got credit for 3 days time served. You're not to return to the Walmart. You're gonna have to pay court costs, including the cost of investigation, to the Orlando Police Department in the amount of $170.91. Those are going to be due by September 10th of 2021. You have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Do I have any holds or any other warrants
I
or
don't
anything?
know.
You have 2 other cases you're in here on.
2 other cases? Can I ask what they were?
You have the possession of cocaine case where that brought you in on the 3rd, and then your bondsman at All-Star Bail Bonds came off your bond for the trespass on property after warning case.
All-Star bail bonds? I never used them.
You have to talk to your lawyer about that, sir. Thank you.
So, do I have another court date coming up?
Mr. Cotty, you have to talk to your lawyer. Ma'am, good morning. Your name?
Good morning.
Well, tell me your name.
Rachel Gephardt.
Ms. Gephardt, this is 20 6247. You were arrested for battery pursuant to a probable cause warrant. You are not to have any contact with the victim. You're not to return to 7-Eleven. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms, and I'm going to place you on pretrial release at this time, ma'am.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Your Honor, Ms. Gordon is behavior.
All right, Mr. Matos, I'll appoint your office to represent her. Do you want to waive the appearance?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's 20 5205. She failed to appear for court. Her bond is $3,500. Good afternoon, your name?
Good afternoon. Gene Huang Park.
Mr. Park, this is 20 3717. This is a violation of probation.
Yes, ma'am.
It is alleged that you have not complied with your instructions by failing to report to probation.
Correct.
Is the state conveying the recommendation?
Your Honor, I read this morning. I do not see where the original victim for the battery was contacted, so the state cannot convey the.
Okay. So at this time, Mr. Matos, do you want to enter a denial on behalf of Mr. Park?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, what division is that? 62, it's a Division 62 case. That's in front of Judge Cameron. VOP status date is September 21st at 9:30 a.m. in courtroom 9B. Mr. Park, at this time, your bond is going to remain at none. The public defender is representing you. You get in touch with their office so that they can file a bond motion or advise you on your other options, sir, okay? Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
Your Honor, did you say that was September 21st at 9:30?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, your name? This is case number 20 CL 723. You were arrested for soliciting without a permit. There is probable cause. Is there an offer for Mr. Cibolero?
Yes, Your Honor. It's an adjudication of guilt, 2 days Orange County Jail, 2 days credit time served, and court costs.
Did you want to accept the offer, sir?
Yes.
Did you read the plea form before court?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about any of the rights that you're giving up?
No.
Are you on probation?
No.
Do you understand that if you are not a U.S. citizen, that this plea will subject you to deportation?
Yes.
Have you taken any drugs, alcohol, or medication that would affect your ability to understand what's happening in court today?
No.
Sir, I'm going to accept your plea, adjudicate you guilty. Ms. Bush, what was the time again?
2 days.
2 days with credit for 2 days' time served. You will have to pay court costs, which will be due by September 10th of 2021, and you have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing.
What?
You
Are you unable to hear me?
I didn't understand what you said.
You were sentenced to 2 days in jail with credit for 2 days' time served. You'll have to pay your court costs, which will be due by September 10th of 2021, and you have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing. Thank you, sir. I have to take my robe off. I'm about to die. Like, I can't. I'm not trying to be unprofessional in any way, but like, I'm dying. I can't hardly breathe up here. Okay. Oh.
Yeah, it's
If anyone else needs to take off their jacket, that's fine, because I can't, it's so hot up here.
tell me twice.
Plus, the mask makes it unbearable. You're welcome. I could barely hear what anyone is saying.
That's wise.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Please tell me your name.
Sherry Bimbo.
What about Jamira Santiago?
Bonded.
Bonded, okay. Oh, that's 100% better.
And this is,
Bimbo.
okay.
You're Sherry Bimbo?
Yes.
Ma'am, you are here in case number 20 CF 7462. You were arrested pursuant to a probable cause warrant for burglary of an occupied dwelling and grand theft third degree. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to have any contact with the victims or return to the scene. Can you hear me okay?
A little.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. You're not to have any contact with the victims and you're not to return to the scene. Your bond on count 1 is going to be $2,500. Your bond on count 2 is $150. I'm not revoking the bond on the out on bond. The offense date is the exact same date as stated in the warrant. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, Your Honor, there was no.
You can bond out, ma'am.
Your Honor, Ms. Brown, bonded.
Okay. Good afternoon, ma'am. Your name?
Jeanette Camacho.
Ms. Camacho, you are here in case number 20 CF 9971. You were arrested for criminal mischief greater than
ma'am.
$1,000 in petty theft pursuant to a probable cause warrant. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to return to the scene or have any contact with the victims. Bond on count 1 is $500. Bond on count 2 is $100. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Your name?
Brittany Carlson.
Ms. Carlson, you are here in case number 20 CF 10894. You were arrested for petty theft with 2 prior convictions. This was pursuant to a probable cause warrant. You are not to return to the scene or have any contact with the victim. I'm going to release you on your own recognizance at this time.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any questions come up? Go ahead. Otherwise.
Your Honor, the folio is, mental health.
Mental health? That's 20 CF 10903. I'll appoint the public defender to represent him. Mr. Matos, do you want to waive his appearance?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. He was arrested for attempted burglary of a conveyance. There is probable cause. He's not to return to the scene. Bond is $1,000.
Were you gonna take any action on she's currently out on bond?
I didn't have an out on bond form. What's the case number?
It's, out of Osceola County, it's for 2020.
I'm not gonna take any action on the Osceola County case. Thank you.
I still need a number though.
Oh, go ahead, Ernie.
It's 2020 MM 000449.
Your Honor, for Mr. Davila, I have a probable cause challenge for an alternative reducing bond.
Okay, just 1 second. Let me call the case. That's 20 CF 10877. Is your probable cause challenge as to that case only?
It's up as to the full trafficking case. I don't know the full.
All right, so Mr. Davila, you were arrested for trafficking in methamphetamines greater than 28 grams, possession of amphetamine, possession of drug paraphernalia, and possession of a prescription drug without a prescription. In 20 CT 5580, you were arrested for driving without a valid driver's license. There's probable cause for that offense. Bond will be $100. You're not to drive without a valid driver's license. Mr. Matos, go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. For the trafficking case, Your Honor, once Mr. Davila has been taken into custody, we exited the circumstances exceptions of searching of the vehicle, and which allows the officer just to search the front cabinet of the vehicle. If any drugs were found in the front cabinet, it allows probable cause for him to search the trunk. And since no drugs were found on Mr. Davila or in the front cabinet of the vehicle, Your Honor, there's no actual probable cause to search the trunk where he found the meth and any all the other drugs that were tested in the affidavit. Therefore, Your Honor, I don't believe that there is probable cause, or at least, Your Honor, if probable cause is found, I would ask for a bond reduction on the traffic as the case proceeds.
Okay, Ms. Bush?
Yes, Your Honor. The officer did an inventory search, and the inventory search allows them to inventory the full vehicle, Your Honor, because if the vehicle is being towed, they have to account for anything that's in the vehicle. The state would submit to the court that probable cause was indeed present for the search. And the state would also argue that that type of probable cause is possibly appropriate for a motion to suppress, Your Honor. However, the state would ask the court to maintain a finding of probable cause, and the state will defer to the court as to the matter of bond.
Okay. So I do find that there is probable cause for count one. Mr. Matos, you can file a motion to suppress with the trial court on that, but I'll take into consideration your arguments when determining the bond amount. Did you want to take any testimony from Mr. Davila regarding his ability to pay?
Yes, Your Honor.
In his community ties? Okay. Raise your right hand, please.
Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
May I inquire, Your Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Davila, how long have you been here in Orlando?
8 months?
8 months. Do you have any plans of going anywhere else? Do you have any problem?
Sorry. Let's say that one more time.
Do you have any property?
I do not.
Do you own any cars?
Yes. Well, it's under my mom's name.
So it's not your car?
Correct.
And if, I'm guessing that if you were to set a reasonable bond, your mom would be able to help you?
Yes.
What does your mom do for work?
She's elderly retired.
So her dependent, the money that you would be able to grab would be money from her retirement?
Unfortunately.
And do you work?
Not at the moment because of COVID.
How long have you been unemployed?
Since March.
What were you doing prior to?
Hospitality, working hotels for Choice Hotels.
And is this a temporary layoff or are you laid off of the work?
I'm hoping it's temporary.
How much money do you have saved?
I have to check my bank account. I don't have any access to
Give me
it.
an estimate.
Maybe about $1,000.
$1,000? Your Honor, just based on the fact that Mr. Davila has been laid off since March, the only person that would be able to pay, to help him pay his bond would be his mother, who's a retiree. And the fact that he used to work he has no actual property that he could liquidate, and in fact, he used to work in the service industry with $1,000 all to his name, I would ask the court to set a reasonable bond of $10,000 at this time.
Ms. Bush?
Yes. Mr. Davila, do you live with your mother?
I used to, not at the present moment.
Okay. And does your mother own her home?
Nope.
Okay, so she rents.
Yes,
And you said you used to live with her.
that is correct.
Do you own the home that you live in now, or do you rent?
I'm just renting a room at the moment.
You're renting a room. And what is the monthly rental on the room?
Monthly rental on the room that I am renting, it's about $400.
And do you have to contribute to any other household bills?
I do.
And roughly, what are those other expenses per month?
About $250.
So a total of about $650 a month.
More so, correct.
Are you getting unemployment at this time?
Just barely, but yes.
So you are availing yourself of the COVID-19 unemployment, both federal and state unemployment. Is that correct?
I'm not understanding the question.
You are collecting unemployment benefits at this time.
Yes.
And what is your monthly unemployment benefit?
$200.
And you said that you had about $1,000 in the bank.
If I'm not mistaken, more so, yes, ma'am.
And you said you've been in Central Florida for the last 8 months. Where were you before you came to Central Florida?
Vero Beach, living with my mother.
And have you called a bondsman since you've been in here?
No, I have not.
So do you know whether or not you would be able to afford a bondsman to bond you out?
Well, from looking from my bonds list or my bond charges, it's really high, and I don't think I'm able to afford that.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
All right. Well, based upon the testimony that was presented and the argument of Mr. Matos, along with taking into consideration Mr. Davila's criminal history and his, and that he's never failed to appear for court before, I'm going to set bond in the amount of $10,000 on count 1, $150 on count 2, $100 on count 3, $100 on count 4. Sir, you are not to possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription, and you will be subjected to random urinalysis testing through pretrial release. Thank you. I'm going to find a waiver of Mr. Ford's appearance based upon his refusal to come to court. In 20 CF 10879, I'll appoint the public defender to represent him. He was arrested for possession of cocaine. There is probable cause. Bond is $1,000. And I am not going to revoke his release in the out on bond case. Good afternoon, sir. Your name?
Craig A. Hill.
Mr. Hill, you are here in case number 20 CF 9615. You failed to appear for arraignment on the 1st of September. Mr. Hill, why did you not appear in court for arraignment?
Because I wasn't notified through the bondsman.
Okay.
And he trying to say that they sent me some mail, but I never received it. Excuse me.
Okay, Mr. Hill, what's your address?
1884 Willie Mays Parkway.
Is it Orlando? What's the zip over there?
32811.
Mr. Hill, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt on that. Now that we have your correct address, I'm going to have the clerk make a note of that in the file.
Thank you,
I'm going
ma'am.
to set your bond at $500, sir. I did.
What I need to do is this.
1884 Willie Mays Parkway, Orlando, 321. 1881. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Your name?
Ralph Lewis Hodge.
Mr. Hodge, you're here in 20 CF 10928. You were arrested for possession of ecstasy. There's probable cause. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription. Your bond is $500, sir.
How much, my boy?
500.
500?
Thank you.
I'll borrow it.
Good afternoon, sir. Your name?
Calvin Johnson.
Mr. Johnson, you've got two cases. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you on both. You have 19 CF 11250. You failed to appear for pretrial conference for the offense of possession of cocaine. Your bond is $2,500. And in 19 MO 1430, you failed to appear for a status hearing on November 15th of 2019. Bond is set at PTR. Mr. Johnson, did you want to resolve that case today?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Did you, Ms. Bush, did you want to make an offer on that case?
Yes, Your Honor. If I may have just a moment to see if there's a filing.
Oh, sure.
I believe there is. I just want to verify.
It's much better, isn't it? It was tricky there for a minute.
If I can find. Your Honor, I apologize. I'm going to have to look him up by name. I'm not finding his number. There we are. This state's offer would be an adjudication of guilt, credit for time served, $10 filing fee, and court costs.
All right. Mr. Johnson, it's credit for time served. You'll have to pay court costs. That includes a $10 filing fee. Do you want to accept that offer, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Did you have a chance to read that plea form?
Some I could.
All right. Well, you just let me know when you're finished, and if you have any questions. all set, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, do you have any questions about any of the rights on the plea form that you'll be giving up?
Repeat, ma'am?
Do you have any questions about any of the rights on the plea form that you'll
No.
be giving up?
No, ma'am.
Are you on probation?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you're not a U.S. citizen, that this plea will result in your deportation?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you taken any drugs, alcohol, or medication that would affect your ability to understand what's happening in court today?
Not today, no, ma'am.
All right, sir, I'm going to accept your plea, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 4 days in jail. You have credit for 4 days' time served. You'll have to pay court costs, which will include $10 filing fee. Those are going to be due by September 10th of 2021. You have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing. Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Get this.
Ms. Kelly? Okay. Good afternoon. Are you Mr. Lambert?
Good afternoon.
Sir, this is 20 CF 10929. You were arrested for carrying a concealed weapon by a convicted felon and possession of a concealed weapon or firearm by a convicted felon. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. Sir, I'm going to place you on pretrial release at this time. Thank you. Good afternoon. Your name?
Marcus Mack.
Mr. Mack, you're here in 20 CF 10911. You were arrested for criminal mischief. There is probable cause. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to have any contact with the victim or return to the scene. Your bond is $1,000. I'm revoking the bond in 20 CF 7233. The release, bond will be set at none. Thank you, sir.
So I have my bonds for the other ones?
For the other case, you do, but not for the old case. You have to have your lawyer file a bond motion.
What did they say? I can't hear.
I'll let you lawyer know. You don't have a bond for your past cases.
I don't have no bond for the past R&Rs?
Nope,
Why not, ma'am?
because you just got rearrested for a similar offense.
No, that last case was burglary.
And criminal mischief. Thank you, sir.
Madison.
Good afternoon. Your name?
Michael Madison.
Mr. Madison, sir, you're here in 20 CF 10924. You were arrested for tampering with physical evidence and possession of drug paraphernalia. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to return to the scene. You are not to possess or consume any alcohol or controlled substances without a valid prescription. I'm going to release you on your own recognizance at this time, sir, and you have reporting requirements when you're released from the jail.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Matos, I'll appoint your office to represent Mr. Marty in 20 CF 10913. Do you want to waive his appearance?
Yes, Your Honor.
He was arrested for burglary of a structure, grand theft, third degree, and criminal mischief over $1,000. There's probable cause. He's not to return to the scene. Bond on count 1 is going to be $2,500. Bond on count 2, $150. Bond on count 3, $150. All right. Mr. Matos, I'll appoint your office to
Your Honor,
represent
he has a
him.
private.
Pardon me?
He has a private attorney.
He does?
Yeah, I can say his name, or I can try.
They filed a notice of appearance?
Ruthron Nathan, Ron J1. Also, I've been told by my office.
needs medical? All right, I'm gonna waive the appearance in 2020 CF 7251. I do note that he is represented by private counsel. He was arrested pursuant to a probable cause capias, so probable cause has already been found. I'm gonna stay the bonds as to each count, 2,500 on count 1, 500 on count 2, and 500 on count 3. That's all. All right, that's 20 CF 10923, Mr. Matos. I will appoint you to represent him. Did you want to waive the appearance?
Yes, Your Honor.
She was arrested for possession of ecstasy. There's probable cause. She's not to return to the scene. She's not to possess or consume any alcohol or controlled substances. I'm gonna release her on her own recognizance in that case, and 20 MO 903, where she was arrested for presumption and possession of alcohol in a public place, and there's probable cause for that offense as well. Yes.
Okay. Hi.
Hi, just give me one moment, ma'am. Are you Miss Powell?
Yes.
This is 20 CF 10925. You were arrested for burglary of a dwelling, and you also have 20 MM 6582. You were arrested for trespass on property after warning. I am going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Am I missing something? Okay. All right, there's probable cause for both of the offenses. Bond in 20 CF 10925 will be $1,000. Ma'am, you're not to return to the scene. You understand you cannot go back there.
Okay.
Okay?
That's understandable.
You've been trespassed from the property, and bond in MM 6582 is gonna be $100. You're also not to have any contact with, Ms. Galvez. Do you understand?
Okay.
Or Ms. McGarren.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
So, am I gonna, oh,
You have to
Okay.
post your bond.
okay. Okay.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Hello,
Your name, please?
Markeisha Rucker.
Ms. Rucker, you are here in case number 20 CF 8562. You were arrested pursuant to a probable cause capias for criminal mischief. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to return to the scene or have any contact with the victim. Yes, ma'am?
I don't know anything about this charge.
Okay, so I'll explain to you probably why. Is that this was a case where an incident happened and the police did an investigation and gave it to the state attorney's office to see if they wanted to file charges. So you have never been arrested on this case
No,
before?
ma'am.
Right, that's what I'm explaining to you. So in the information, they're alleging, they filed an information charging you with criminal mischief, subsequent offender, and they're alleging that on November 18th of 2019, you injured the property of Latricia Patterson and Markeisha Nicola Rucker. It was a window. They're alleging you broke a window. I'm not saying it's true or untrue.
Yes,
I'm just
ma'am.
letting you know where the allegations are coming from. That's what the allegations are. Your lawyer will be able to give you more information about that, ma'am. Ma'am, the scene of the offense is 6905 West Shore Drive. Do you live there?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so you can't return to that scene or have any contact with Latricia Patterson. Bond will be $500. I'm not going to take any action on your out on bond case.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, your name?
Ryan Stuckey, ma'am.
What is it?
Ryan Stuckey, ma'am.
How about Mr. Scott?
Stuckey.
He bonded, thank you. Mr. Stuckey, you are here in case number 20 CF 6587. You were arrested pursuant to a probable cause habeas for possession of methamphetamine and unlawful possession of a stolen credit card. Bond on count 1 is 1,000. Bond on count 2 is 100. You're not to have any contact with the victim. You're not to possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription. And due to the date alleged in the information, I'm not going to take any action on your out on bond cases, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Your name?
Brittany Thomas.
Ms. Thomas, you're here in 20 CF 7941. You were arrested pursuant to a warrant for grand theft third degree. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to return to the scene. Your bond is going to be $1,000, ma'am.
What about the one in Seminole County?
I don't have any control over the bond in Seminole County. I'm not sure if you were already seen on that case or not.
Would I be able to be, if I bond out on this, would I be able to pay for the one that's in Seminole County
Do
too?
you have a
and
bond
leave?
in Seminole?
They told me it was $2,000,
Then yes. Then you should be able to post your bonds.
so I won't have to wait on Seminole County to pick me up.
They're not coming to get you.
Oh, okay. so-
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir. Your name?
Ryan Michael Thomas.
Mr. Thomas, you're here in 19 CF 15985. You failed to appear for court on August 5th of this year. Your bond on count 1 is 500, bond on count 2 is 100, bond on count 3 is 100. You were arrested in 20 CO 722 for soliciting without a permit. There is probable cause. Ms. Bush, you have an offer on that case?
Yes, Your Honor, it'd be an adjudication of guilt, 2 days Orange County Jail, 2 days credit time served, and court costs.
Your Honor, do you mind if I look up if there's anything else on him?
I can't hear you.
Can you give me a second before you plea him out?
Sure.
Check that
500,
case just
100,
in
100.
case. No problem. don't see any problems, Your Honor. You can proceed.
All right. Mr. Thomas, did you want to enter a plea to the soliciting charge?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you read the plea form?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any questions about any of the rights that you're giving up?
No, ma'am.
Are you on probation?
No, ma'am.
Are you under the influence of any drugs, alcohol, or medication?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you are not a U.S. citizen, this plea will result in your deportation?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, I will accept your plea, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 2 days in jail. You've got credit for 2 days' time served. You will have to pay court costs, which will be due by September 10th of 2021. And you have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing. Thank you. Good afternoon, sir. Your name?
Armando Torres Sanchez.
Mr. Torres Sanchez, this is 20 CT 10257. You were arrested pursuant to a warrant for failure to report your name or residence change.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Mr. Torres Sanchez, you do have reporting requirements when you are released from the jail. Your bond is $500, sir.
I
Thank
got a
you.
bond for 500,
Yes, sir.
$100. Ma'am,
Sir?
is there any, I have a card in my property.
Okay.
Is there any way I can get somebody to come and bail me out?
That's something you'll have to talk to the jail staff or your lawyer about. I don't have any control over that.
Oh, I'm done?
You're done.
And we have Venezuela.
Good afternoon, sir. Your name?
John Trazilian.
Mr. Trazilian, this is 20 CF 10888. You were arrested pursuant to a warrant for armed robbery with a firearm while wearing a mask. This was pursuant to a probable cause warrant. Ms. Bush, did you want to be heard?
Yes, Your Honor. The state would ask the court to take into consideration the facts contained within the sworn affidavit for the arrest warrant. In that affidavit, there are facts and investigative leads that led to the identification of Mr. Trazilian. Those facts were garnered from a surveillance video and also facts garnered from another similar occurrence. And those facts led to a Kia Optima that Mr. Trazilian is part owner of. Also, Mr. Trazilian identified himself as the lookout in the current case. So the state would ask the court to find proof is evident or presumption is great that Mr. Trazilian is one of the 3 males that robbed the store wearing masks and carrying weapons, and hold him at no bond as to this matter.
All right, Mr. Matos?
Your Honor, I would leave the presumption at the court's discretion at this time and reserve the rest of the hearing to be held downtown.
All right, Mr. Matos. The state has met their burden to establish that there is proof evident or presumption great based upon the affidavit. At this time, bond will remain at none. Mr. Trazilian, your lawyer can file a bond motion in Division 15. You're not to have any contact with the victim, return to the scene, or have any contact with any co-defendants, sir, or possess any weapons or firearms.
Because of bond motion, based on the hearings, you have to be able to share your side of the story. That depends on what that judge decides. Yeah, go ahead.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Tell me your name, please.
My name is Jesus Angel Valenzuela.
Sir, this is 20 CF 10916. You were arrested for criminal mischief greater than $1,000. There's probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you.
Okay.
You're not to return to the scene or have any contact with the victim. Your bond, sir, is $500. You also have 20 CF 10912. You were arrested for criminal mischief. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you in that matter as well. You're not to return to the scene or have contact with the victim, and your bond is $1,000.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Your name?
Calvin Devon Carr Jr.
Mr. Carr, you're here in 20 CF 10910. You were arrested for possession of cannabis with intent to distribute, possession of cannabis greater than 20 grams, and possession of cocaine. There's probable cause. I will appoint the public defender to represent you in each case. Bond on count 1, 1,000. Bond on count 2, 150. Bond on count 3, 150. And that provides the probable cause for the violation of probation in 19 CF 14127. The bond in that matter will be set at none, sir. Thank you.
To bond out? Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, your name?
Louis Medina, Your Honor.
Mr. Medina, this is 16 CF 13280. You were arrested for a violation of probation based upon your arrest in 20 CF 10615. There's probable cause for the violation of probation. I'll appoint the public defender.
Your Honor.
Yes?
Mr. Lewis has a private attorney.
Okay.
What's his name? Let me ask for a second. Private. Oh, he has a private since the 2008. 2008? 2018, I'm sorry.
That was probably the lawyer who represented him on the original charge.
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you hired a lawyer to represent you?
Does it say Tamarkin? Daniel Tamarkin? I haven't hired a new lawyer, because,
Yeah, they said that they're showing Daniel
Right, so
Kirkman.
that was from the original case for
Correct.
another matter. So at this time, I'm appointing the public defender to represent him.
No worries.
Mr. Medina, if you want to hire Mr. Tamarkin or any other lawyer that you'd like, you're welcome to do that, and they'll know how to file the appropriate motion to withdraw the public defender.
yes, Your Honor.
Okay? So at this time, your bond on the violation of probation is set at none. Correct. Thank you, sir. So, Mr. Matos, when you look those up, if it's a violation of probation case, a lot of times it's not updated to reflect it'll be the attorney that represented them on the original offense. So just look in the summary to see if there's been a notice of appearance filed. Okay? Good afternoon, your name?
Brian Wiggins.
Mr. Wiggins, this is 19 CF 5138. You were arrested for violation of probation. It's alleged that you changed your residence without getting permission. At this time, your bond is set at none. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You will see Judge Whitehead in the next 7 to 10 days, sir.
All right.
Thank you. So Mr. Chico bond. All right, thank you. Really? How? Okay.
I believe what he told me was that his attorney went to, I believe, Seminole County.
Okay.
Well,
Volusia?
Volusia County, and to try and get him a bond. So, that's what I was told.
It has a $5,000 bond.
In your, there
Yeah,
must have
it
been an
was-
order that was entered that I haven't
Yeah,
seen. Okay,
bond
well,
amended, yeah.
I'm confident that you wouldn't release someone without a bond, so. All right, and then Mr. Kokolis, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, you're here for an out-of-county warrant out of Osceola County for aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, leaving the accident with serious bodily injury and petty theft. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. At this time, your bond on counts 1 and 2 is set at none. Bond on count 3 is $500. I need to get in touch with the judge in Osceola County.
Ma'am, is there any way, listen, my mother died last Monday. I'm just trying to get my mother's ashes. I was supposed to pick my mother's ashes up today, and all this bullshit happened. I'm sorry for my language, ma'am.
Okay.
But is there any way, like,
So listen, I understand that you're upset. One, I can't have you using that language in the courtroom. I do understand that you're upset. Two, I don't have any facts or information about your case whatsoever to determine what a bond should be. So I was trying to explain to you that I'm gonna reach out to the judge in Osceola County who has that information so that I can try to see if they'll set a bond, because you're entitled to bond on both of those charges. I just don't have any information in order to set an appropriate bond, so that's what we have to do. Okay? And I'll bring you back to court as soon as I find out some information.
so how long?
It's not usually very long. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. Your name, sir?
It's Kenneth Ladner.
Mr. Ladner, you're here for an out-of-county warrant out of Osceola County, 20 CF 2580, for failing to register as required. The bond is $2,500. But his face sheet says he doesn't have reporting requirement. Okay. Mr. Ladner, I think you have reporting requirements because of what you've been arrested for and what you are out on bond for. So
Yeah.
you need to comply with whatever requirements that you do have. I'm not gonna revoke your Osceola County bond.
You're not.
No. Thank you.
It's
I'm sorry, go ahead.
it's that my bond is still, if I still,
Your bond on the new case out of Osceola County is $2,500, and then the other one is still left intact. Your $500 bond is still left intact. Is Miss Walker coming to court? She refused? Okay. I'm finding a waiver of Miss Walker's appearance based upon her refusal to come to court. I'm staying all the bonds as is on each of her cases. They're all out of counties from Seminole, Volusia, Seminole, and Seminole. They're all staying the same. Are you Mr. Price?
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir.
Were you here yesterday?
I wasn't. Judge Wish was here yesterday. But I spoke to Judge Jacobus in Brevard County. And did you want to just resolve your case today if possible?
I didn't have no money for bonding. I was seriously, I'm homeless. I don't want to do time in jail, but it's been nice to sleep in the bed. It's been nice to sleep in the bed, I swear to you.
Okay.
You know? I mean, I'm looking for whatever I got to do for time served or whatever.
1 second.
I can't read. I pretty much know what it is. Now, I no longer have a scooter, any means of transportation, so I've been wanting to get this resolved for a while.
Just give me 1 second, Mr. Price. charged with driving while license suspended with knowledge, and that's an enhanceable offense in Florida. So if you already have 2 prior driving while license suspended charges in the last 5 years, then you would lose your ability to get a driver's license for 5 years. Okay, so I'm gonna check right now so that you can have that information to know whether or not you want to accept the plea.
I didn't hear you.
So in Florida, if you get 3 driving while license suspended convictions in 5 years, you will lose your ability to get a driver's license for 5 years. I don't know how many you have, so I'm looking to see so that you can make a decision as to whether or not you want to do that.
Ma'am, we can do that. I don't want to drive a license.
That wouldn't make any difference to
I
you?
mean, in Indiana, if you get caught driving while suspended, or, the technical term for never having a license is driving while suspended, which, I don't know. I got one when I was 14, that's how I knew. But I don't want a driver's license. I don't really want to drive. It's just that down here, I swear to God, on Christmas, I made $1,224 of the bum. On New Year's Day, I got $600 in a new scooter.
Oh?
I mean, I assumed down here was like Indiana that you didn't need a driver's license for a scooter. So, it's gone.
I hear you, okay.
I mean, I don't want to drive. I'm good. I don't want a scooter. I like walking,
All right, so Mr. Price, if you were to enter a plea today, I would adjudicate you guilty and give you credit for time served, and you would be released today. Would you want to accept that offer?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Just give me 1 second.
You have no license. I mean, I panhandle. Stick with me on. It's America. I've gained 10 pounds being homeless. I mean, this is the facts. If it's a white-owned corporate, no matter what it is, what restaurant, true. It's white-owned. White people run it. Corporate, there's cameras. White-owned, blacks run it. Go to the back door. They'll feed you. I mean, it is what it is.
All right.
This new trend, Black Lives Matter, they've always mattered. Always.
Thank you, Mr. Price. Mr. Price, did you get a chance to read the plea form before court today?
Yeah.
Did you have any questions about any of the rights that you're giving up?
No.
All right, sir. Are you on probation?
No.
Do you understand that if you are not a U.S. citizen, that this plea will result in your deportation?
Well, at least I can go back home. Yeah, I'm a U.S. citizen.
Okay, sir. Are you under the influence of any drugs, alcohol, or medication?
No.
All right, I'm going to accept your plea, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to, how many days does Mr. Price have?
3.
Sentence you to 3 days in jail. You have credit for 3 days time served.
Okay.
You're gonna have to pay court costs. Those are gonna be due in Brevard County. You're gonna have 1 year to pay them. You'll need to report to the clerk of the court within 30 days to pay your court costs or to set up a payment plan. And those are gonna be due by September 10th of 2021. You have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing, sir.
If by chance I don't get that paid, how much is court costs in Brevard?
I'm not exactly sure. That's why I'm having you report to the clerk's office, and they'll be able to determine that for you.
And this is
If you don't pay them, they're gonna suspend your driver's license.
Really? Something I don't, so if I don't put on these swimming trunks, I still can't go swimming? Man.
Thank you, Mr. Price. Have a nice day.
Okay, Mr. Price.
Thanks.
All right, sir. All right, we just need to take care of the 33-day motions, and then we'll be finished. Ms. Bush, were you ready on the 33-day?
If I could have half a minute.
Sure.
To pull. And I don't think we had any on the add-on docket.
No.
Okay.
We completed the add-on docket.
The state's ready, Your Honor.
All right. Is this my copy? Or I have to sign it? Oh, no.
Mr. Matos?
Oh, I
The locked-in copies.
Thank you.
20 CF 9213 Scott McKinney.
And information was filed on September 9th. Filing ID is 113101543.
That'll be denied. 20 CF 9540 Timothy Craven.
A no information notice was filed on September 9th.
That'll be granted. 20 CF 8958 Manuel Martinez.
A clocked-in copy has been provided to defense counsel.
Mr. Matos, you received a copy of the information?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And 20 MM 5413 Manuel Martinez.
And that one was consolidated with 20 CF 8958. And that's the clocked-in copy that Mr. Matos received.
That'll be denied. 20 CF 2932 Herberto Silva.
A request for administrative transfer and a misdemeanor information clocked-in copy provided to defense counsel.
And Mr. Matos, you received that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. 20 CF 9431 Arthur Gray.
A notice of non-filing on September 9th.
That will be granted. 20 CF 9429 Anthony White.
A notice of non-filing on September 9th.
That'll be granted. 20 CF 8090 Todrick Peterson.
A notice of non-filing on July 30th.
That'll be granted. All right, and then court will be in recess.